Hello and welcome to The Week, the show that takes a look back at the big talking points from across our region over the past 7 days with a helping hand from our studio guests. Coming up over the next hour, we'll be reviewing the headlines in the local papers, we'll be serving up a few leisure ideas in our Something for the Weekend section, and we'll be reflecting on the big stories brought to you by our Big Centre TV news team over the last 7 days. Remember, this is your show, so if there's an issue you think we should be tackling or a point you want to make, drop us a line through the Big Centre TV website, contact us on Facebook or email theweek@bigcentre.tv. Helping me to cast an eye over the papers this week, once again, is award-winning radio and TV presenter, producer, programmer, jack of all trades, Dan Morfitt. Dan, good evening, welcome.
Picked me up there.
That's quite a long time. Yeah. That's used up a minute of the show, isn't it?
Thank you for inviting me back.
A pleasure to have you back. Now, I remember last time you were on the show, we were talking about the start of the Rugby World Cup, and I was very sagely sitting here saying, don't you tell me that Scotland are going to perform well. It's all about England.
You were very patriotic.
Passed me the humble pie.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you would like to know the national lottery numbers for the weekend, I might be able to give them to you
That would be useful, to be honest. Although
I think Scotland will beat Australia as well. We'll see next time if I'm right.
You're a brave man. You're a brave man. Lots of fantastic. We've got some sport to talk about in the headlines this week. Let's start with it, in fact, because one of the big news stories has been this report into the cost of supporting your local football team. I mean, football stadia, they say, are 96-97% full in the Premier League, so people are obviously prepared to pay it. But when you break down some of the statistics, as most of the local papers have done, it's not cheap anymore, is it, to go and see your local team?
The best thing about this is they're doing it every year now, and it's really showing up how, you know, the Premier League is supposed to be the best league in the world. It really doesn't seem that way when you say, you know, how much does it cost per goal to watch? In fact, most of the Premier League, it's actually cheaper to get on a plane, go to Germany, or go to Italy and take your whole family there than it is to take your match to a local game. It's ridiculous.
I mean, a lot of people actually do go and watch German football regularly now, don't they? Particularly from the southeast of England. Yeah,
you can go into a stadium, you can drink beer, you can have a good time, and it will cost you 15, 20 euros. Here, though, quite expensive tickets. Saying that, though, you know, our Premier League boys, Villa and West Brom, looking good. Not too expensive. But looking across all of our clubs, Blues seem to be the cheapest.
I'm saying nothing about that. That's what it's all about. It's all about value for money as a Wolves fan, isn't it? Supporting the mighty Wolves a little bit more expensive. This is based on the average ticket price, isn't it? Plus a pie, a cup of tea and a programme. And you don't get much change out of 35 quid, do you?
I'll tell you something though, when was the last time you bought a programme?
Well, I don't buy a programme anymore.
No. But at Wolves, I know they're in the process of being sold. Are you getting value for money?
Well, I think fans are voting with their feet, aren't they? You know, and a lot of the stadia, particularly in the Championship, they're not full, are they? And whenever you see a match being televised, you can probably knock 5,000 or 6,000 off the attendance. There's not the die-hard fans that turn up, come rain, shine, or travel on a Tuesday night anymore, is there? Which means, I don't know, is football not quite in people's blood so much because they can't relate to a lot of the players that are playing for their teams anymore?
And what is the price of success? If you're a Villa fan, you've been going years in, years out, you're standing and then sitting on the Holt End. And what type of football are you getting in return? It's not very entertaining. They're not going and challenging for the league, even challenging for Europe. You just wonder what you're putting your money into. And because the cost is getting bigger and bigger, it's almost as if it's counting your worth as a supporter. And that's why people are voting with their feet and staying at home for big games when they can watch it on the box.
And we've got, I mean, you're starting to see it on the, saying terraces, you know, inside the grounds now, these protests about, you know, what is fair value for money. People, we've seen this week, inflation is next to nothing.
Yeah.
A lot of public sector workers haven't had a pay rise for 4 years, and yet the price of going to a football match has gone up 4, 5, 6 times the rate of inflation over the past 10 years.
And, you know, not to berate a team like Walsall, who had been doing really good, you know, they've got to Wembley, Chelsea. You see the crowds turn up for the big games, but then week in, week out, where's the attendance? Where are the people? We need to get people back into the game because, like you said, people will get on planes and go and watch Borussia Dortmund or Bayern Munich, where I think the cheapest season ticket's like €100. That's ridiculous.
And chances are you'll see no more local players in your own local team than you will travelling to somewhere like Germany. Because now one place that is still packing them out, and was at the weekend certainly, is the Grand Designs exhibition, which rolled into the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham over the weekend, and Big Centre TV's property presenter Rebecca Jane caught up with Channel 4's design guru Kevin MacLeod.
Kevin, it's lovely to have you here.
It's good of you to be here at Grand Designs Live. Thank you for coming.
It's amazing. We're celebrating 10 years this year.
Yeah, 10 years. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it sort of flies by. And we run it, in the NEC and in London at Excel.
What have you
every
noticed
year
in terms of changes over the years?
I think what the big difference I've noticed is the move, in a way, away from just product to lots more small makers. We have suppliers, large manufacturers, some of the large retailers, but lots of small makers. When we started, the internet was just a wee thing. And so if you wanted to buy a really interesting lampshade, you would have to research it, perhaps in a magazine, and then you would drive to Coventry to a small shop. Now, what you can do is you can go online, there's a retailer based, in fact, I bought a lamp from a retailer based in Falmouth, which is a very long way away. It's the tip of Cornwall.
Yeah.
But you don't need to go to Falmouth because you look on their website and then you can go and visit them. I'm not actually sure if they're here, but they may well be. But there are lots of small people like that, small retailers who work out of garages, people who set up with very specific interests. And the lovely thing about exhibitions, and about this show particularly, is that it's full of like-minded people. So everybody is here for a good time. Everybody's here because they love design, love architecture, love making things. So there's a sense in that of craftsmanship. And you can turn up and you can actually physically touch something. And you'll know this, I guess, from doing the broadcast work that you do, that you film a building or you see an object. It's really hard to convey the quality. These chairs, I don't know if this is leather until I touch it.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No, it's not.
And until you touch it, and we think about how things look as being so important, but actually the tactility, how things feel under the fingers, that's where we judge the quality of things. And that's true of silver service and linen napkins in restaurants. It's true of plastics. It's true of beautiful things like bronze and leather. So a well-crafted, well-made thing may look the business, but it actually has to really, I think, endure the test of being touched and felt and examined at close quarters. And that's where the exhibition is brilliant. That's where people come and can meet the makers and talk to them without having to traipse all over the country.
Yeah,
it's a lovely change in the way that we've run this show, and it's a great thing to have these small makers along.
You can hear more of that interview on Rebecca Jane's show coming up on Big Centre soon. Grand Designs has sort of taken over from the Ideal Homes exhibition, hasn't it, in the NEC, as the must-attend event.
Yeah, for want of a better phrase, it's proper property porn. You watch it just to see these magical places get built from the ground up or, converted. I don't know if you watched it the other week. There was a great bloke, I think he was from Birmingham, but bought a place down Enville in Worcestershire.
Is that the guy who built it into the side of a rock face, like a cave?
A cave dwelling. And he had, I think, multiple sclerosis, and he was using it as sort of therapy and rehab just to make him work. And it was a great story. And for once on Grand Designs, he came in under budget. And
that's actually the bit you always... It's like when you watch the Antiques Roadshow, you want to fast forward just to find out how much the thing's worth, don't you? You want to know what's their budget, did they hit it? I don't know whether I have admiration or astonishment towards these people, because they give up like 2-3 years of their life. Sometimes they live in a caravan, they live in a complete state of... The one last week, converting a mill, he was 2 years late, he still hadn't finished it. Are they deluded? Are they ambitious? I couldn't do it.
I'm really looking forward to see Rebecca's reports and show about it next week, because I know Kevin MacLeod, when he was here, he had a lot to say about the new Birmingham New Streets and Grand Central developments. Wasn't that nice about him? Not necessarily scathing, but he said it will probably date quickly, and I will keep my own opinion quiet for once on this, but he says it wasn't very nice.
But he's become the man, hasn't he?
He's the man to go
and
to.
he's with such a broad church of ideas that he invites in. I'm never quite sure what he's going to say about some of these property
There is a very, very good, not that I should condone it, but a good drinking game to see how many platitudes he can give, and rhyming couplets at the end when he pours his love upon a property, or you can see that glint in his eyes when he just really hates a house project.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
That's a lot of tea to drink, though, isn't it? so. Now then, there's less than 100 days to go until the opening of The Way, and this is a huge £6 million youth zone being created in Wolverhampton. Let's have a look.
100 pupils from St Matthew's School were lucky enough to celebrate 100 days until the grand opening of Wolverhampton's new youth zone. General Manager of the Way, Alice Davey, explains what we can expect from the youth zone in 100 days' time.
Well, the Way Youth Zone, opening in Wolverhampton on the 16th of January next year, is the most amazing facility for our young people across Wolverhampton. We're building a £5.5 million building that will have sports, arts, music activities taking place in it, and we'll have a host of qualified youth workers, inspiring session leaders and volunteers to help young people to find the activity that's right for them. And we back that up with a whole range of services for young people, so whether it's finding out about employability opportunities, joining our employability programme, or whether it's just talking about issues young people are having at school, in their lives, in their family, there really is something for everyone. We're the first youth zone from within the Onside network to open in the Midlands, so I really do think it's a huge opportunity across the Midlands for our young people to travel into Wolverhampton, particularly at the weekends or during school holidays, and take part. It's only 50p for all the activities you get. We open every day after school from 4 until 10 p.m, and we're open all weekend from 10 till 10. We'll split our sessions into junior and senior night, so anyone from the age of 8 upwards can come and have a go.
So tell me more about the lead up to the grand opening. What do you have in store?
Well, we'll be busy, of course, getting everything ready. Our building's nearly finished and our equipment will be arriving throughout November. And then there'll be some fabulous opportunities throughout December where people can come and have a little taste of the youth zone, and that'll help us to test all our systems, get in our key partners who we'll be anxious to work with. So we're so grateful to the council and all our other key partners, and we'll be inviting them in for some special tours. We'll have some special sign-up days where our young people can come and join in advance, and those first 100 young people joining will get golden tickets to a special event prior to opening.
So what would you say to people who are thinking about getting involved?
I'd say come along, volunteer, get on our website, look at all our amazing opportunities and become part of this incredible network of youth zones. Onside is creating a new model for 21st century youth work so that every young person will have somewhere to go, someone to talk to and something to do.
To help mark today's occasion, pupils were joined by Invictus Gold Medal winner and Youth Zone volunteer Andy Roberts, who tells me about his involvement within the project.
Basically, I can see that it's going to be exciting for the local community, and I've just, from my own experiences, I feel like hopefully I can give something back to Wolverhampton. Yeah, I plan on just giving as much of my time as I can. Really, I'll be working around my pain levels or my own schedule, but I'm hoping to at least give a couple of days a week, and hopefully it can lead to something more permanent. I'll get involved in anything like from sports to mentoring, or I'll try new things myself, and see if I can give any guidance or help or support. So yeah, really it's just try and maybe I can learn new experiences to guide people as well.
And what would you say to people who are planning to volunteer with the Way?
Just come down, really. It's not only is it going to help the young people of our community, it's going to build on your own confidence, and it'll build on your CV, it'll build on your own experiences. So if you're looking for work but you're not getting past that interview or stages, or you just want a rewarding experience or a challenge, I think come down and get involved with our community, and we'll make our community even greater than what it is.
The Youth Zone opens for all on the 16th of January next year. This is Emma Wotton for The Midland in Wolverhampton.
When I was a youth, which granted was a long time ago, they never had anything like this in our local community. It's so well organised. And
This sounds fantastic. 50p subs?
absolutely.
Is there a chance of us putting on short trousers and a baseball cap and trying to wangle our way in there?
I'll go for the baseball cap. You don't want to see the short trousers, believe me. It was, but back in, you had to. There's been so long where people feel like there's either been no youth facilities. You hear it all the time. Nothing for young people to do in the local areas. This is exactly, isn't it, what people want?
It's a big investment as well, and I believe Steve Morgan has been giving some money towards this, so it shows that he cares about Wolverhampton. The most important thing though is, what's the tuck shop like, and is there a Friday night disco?
There's got to be a Friday night disco. I've had some of my most risque moments in the Friday night disco at the youth club. I think that's a good time to leave it there. More news and reviews after the break. Welcome back. I'm joined by Dan Morfitt, still in the studio here. We're taking a look at some of the news stories that have been making the headlines over the past week. Let's start with quite a controversial one, actually, because a new public bench in the centre of Wolverhampton is proving to be quite a talking point. It's a black granite creation. It's at the end of Princess Street, and it's cost nearly £20,000 with materials imported from China. Well, the shoppers we spoke to were less than impressed.
So, what do you think of the new £20,000 bench?
Certainly a bit confused by it. It doesn't mean anything to me, being a local lad myself. The inscription doesn't bear any relation to Wolverhampton in any way, shape or form. And I certainly think that the £20,000 that's been used on it could well have been used by local artists to come up with something similar, rather than spend it on something from China.
I think it's a hell of a lot of money to spend on something like that. Could be better spent.
So you think the money could be put elsewhere?
Yeah, definitely.
So do you think, do you think it brings anything? Do you like the appearance of it at all? Or?
Looks okay.
An absolute waste of money. I think the fact that they keep on saying we need to pay more rates, and to see that, absolute waste of money.
So where else do you think they could have spent the £20,000 then?
Well, for a start, they could start repairing Dudley Street. They put down new slabbing. It is all breaking up. It is worse than it was before they started. They're just wasting money.
Do you think it brings anything at all to the city, or?
It adds to the look. It makes the street look nice, but you've explained to me the cost involved, and that seems exorbitant. It seems, for what it is, it seems a lot of money.
Some people not very happy about that. Public art's a funny thing, isn't it? You almost open yourself up to criticism, whatever it is, don't you?
Yeah, watching that, to steal the words of Ricky Gervais, are they having a laugh? 20 grand for the Midlands' smallest skate park? Because people are going to be grinding skateboards off that. They're not going to be sitting on it. But £20,000 for a bench?
I think the thing as well is, it doesn't actually say Wolverhampton history, heritage. This hasn't been carved from a cliff face underneath Dudley Castle or halfway down Wensfield High Street, does it? It's been imported, and that's £20,000, which all well and good if all the roads, pavements are okay, all the potholes are filled in, but you open yourself up, don't you?
Have they never heard of Homebase or B&Q? You can get a bench there for what, less than £100?
Or the DIY stores are available,
yes,
folks, as well. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, you can. And I think this is the thing, isn't it, where every penny is being looked at. Local government are all saying at the moment that money's tight, they haven't got enough money to spend.
I think if most of the materials came from China, most of the 20 grand is in postage.
Probably right. And yet, of course, last week on the show, we were talking about the fact that places like Walsall and other parts of the Black Country featured pretty low down on this list of culturally rich areas of the country. People saying, there's nothing here, nothing's been invested. So can you say that we shouldn't knock the council for trying something?
I know, but we can't build a website about this and say, come to Wolverhampton, we've got a new bench.
No, that's absolutely true.
Not going to carry.
I tell you something they might be able to build a website around. If this man, Tim Weller, his name is, this is out in the Black Country Bugle this week. He is launching a one-man campaign, there may be a reason it's only a one-man campaign, to bring Dudley's railway line fully back into the national rail network, saying that we need diesel trains and a direct link to London. The tram system has had long enough to make its mark. Public transport just doesn't link Dudley to anywhere. What do we think of Tim's chances?
He's got a good point, and you know, campaigns like this are happening all over the country where people are trying to get disused rail tracks back into action in some way or another. But you know, I wish him luck. They've got to do viability studies. They've got to see if Dudley can then connect to the greater network. But you just got to think back and just go, oh, Dr. Beeching, what did you do?
And the thing is, how many of these tracks that Dr. Beeching sounded the death knell for have ever been reinstated? You can count on two fingers, can't you? I think money isn't available. It seems the only money that's being spent on rail service at the moment is in the HS2 network, isn't it? So,
or he could just get a taxi to Wolverhampton and sit on a really nice bench.
He could, absolutely, which is right by the railway station, to be fair, isn't it? So quite a nice connection. I can see what you've done there. That's excellent. Now then, it's the time of the year when poppies, of course, go back on sale as we prepare for Remembrance Day. But for one designer, one single poppy just isn't enough, as we discovered when we dropped in at the Malmaison Hotel in Birmingham.
In the run-up to the Poppy Appeal, which takes place this month, which marks the centenary of the First World War, fashion designer Sarah Bryan produced a poppy dress to commemorate the event.
Took 4 months, so like every night on and off I would sit there and make the dress.
And what is the whole aim of making the dress in conjunction with the Poppy Appeal?
The big dresses that I've made today have always been for a specific kind of charity, and I wanted to do something that's more at home, that's British. So that's where the idea for the poppy dress came in, and we're hoping to raise funds for the Poppy Appeal, who donated the poppies.
So what is your history with fashion? You know, how did you get into it?
Ever since I was little, I used to put together like little outfits with material and just make silly things. And it's only just over a year that I've really started making dresses. So I started in beauty, and that's what I'm still doing now. And I started doing the Skittles dress for a beauty competition, but I wanted to make my own outfit. So that's where it kind of came about. And then I was like, well, I actually really like doing this, and I like to help other people as well.
So who else was involved in the development of the dress? Was it just yourself, or did you have other parties helping you along the way?
In the poppy dress, I had guidance from my agent Barry, but I obviously sat and made the dress myself, but I couldn't have done none of it without Barry and without everyone else's support, like my partner and my partner's family. They've all been really supportive, and obviously the Poppy Appeal for donating the poppies, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do it.
The remarkable dress can be found at the Malmaison Hotel in Birmingham until Wednesday the 11th of November. This is Louisa Huggins at Malmaison Birmingham for the Midlands.
Hats off to Barry, that's what I say.
Yeah,
I think Barry was
job
obviously
there.
invaluable there. Anything that raises the profile of the Poppy Appeal is a good thing, though, isn't it? However wacky or crazy or unusual it might be.
And you know, every year the wife gets a different brooch. So it's becoming not a fashion item, but I think if the money is going towards the good place, that's more than okay.
Yeah, I think it is the one appeal really still, you know, that just unites the whole country, doesn't it? Or pretty much the whole country. And it amazes me just how many causes locally actually the Royal British Legion appeal directly supports as a result.
It's it'd be nice to know more of what the Legion do every year, because I think sometimes the argument gets lost in politics. But I remember when I was young, when it was still the Hague Fund, and the trials that they went through to rename it, quite rightly. It's good to remember the people that have fallen, and it's good to show awareness by putting a poppy on your lapel.
Absolutely, and we will be supporting the Poppy Appeal here on Big Centre TV. I'm sure there'll be lots of any events that you've got going on around the region to support the Poppy Appeal. Please let us know. News at bigcentre.tv or the week at bigcentre.tv. You can reach us there. I think she's probably got a future on Strictly Come Dancing as well, hasn't she? Designing some crazy wacky dresses.
Anything with glitter,
as long as
sequins.
As long as Barry says it's okay. That's
Get Barry on the case.
Now then. This story in the Birmingham Mail this week, traffic woes in Birmingham, shock horror.
This is fantastic. Traffic is worse in Birmingham than in Mexico City. Mexico City is now the biggest city on the planet, something like 20 odd million people. Traffic's better there than it is in Birmingham. They've got clapped out Beatles working there, and we've just got a massive soon-to-be hole in the ground at Paradise Circus, and the Aston Expressway, which is beguiling and confusing to anybody that drives into the city centre. And I know this by right. Yeah, it does take ages just to get out of Birmingham. It's ridiculous. Not as bad, though, as the pictures that you might have seen from China.
At the start of this week?
Yeah, they come back from holiday in China to 50 lanes of traffic. So if you think the 7-lane expressway in Aston's confusing, 50 lanes of traffic could be worse.
And yet, apparently Birmingham's got more snarl-ups. I mean, I have to say, I think probably if you throw in the M6 and all this chaos at the M5 junction, which seems to be going on forever, doesn't it, at the moment, that would probably tip the balance, to be honest.
You would hope there's light at the end of the tunnel, but I think they've removed the lights at the moment, so it's pitch dark.
Absolutely. Let's end with a couple of more optimistic stories, shall we say. Express and Star have got a piece here this week about what they say is a bright future for the Museum of the Past. There's a new man at the helm of the Black Country Museum, Lowell Williams, who was been in charge at Dudley College and guided it through times. One of the interesting things he says here is that he wants to transform this site into something that's more of a complete experience that is of appeal to maybe a wider range of visitors. Do you think people... Has it got a core support, the Black Country Museum?
You know what, I have to say, hand on heart, I really love the Black Country Living Museum. It is fantastic. I remember as a lad I went up to Beamish in County Durham. Black Country Living Museum knocks the socks off it. Everybody says the fish and chips there are fantastic. They are. I think it's a great educational resource, teaching our kids of the quite near past. Does it need to be a bigger experience? Does that mean he wants to Disneyfy it or something? I don't want to see rides at the Black Country Living Museum, but maybe they could do more work with the Dudley Canal Civic Trust, because at the moment they're still separate.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them come together. Maybe they can bank on Peaky Blinders fame, because there's been a lot of filming there. I think they did a bit of Ripper Street as well.
Yes,
there.
they did.
Capitalise on that. We want people to fly into Birmingham Shakespeare Airport. We may as well get them up the road to the Black Country Living Museum.
Absolutely. Well, because the tramway's reopened, hasn't it? And there's something like 50, 60,000 school children going in through the year. So, I mean, I would have thought, they've got a pretty decent recipe for success there, haven't they?
They'll have to get more dripping on, because those chips are fantastic.
Indeed. And finally, very quickly, Black Country Bugle says, autumnal colours in a Black Country trail. I must admit, when I've been driving over the last few days, the autumn colours do seem to have suddenly appeared, don't they? So, time now for a break and to take in the latest headlines from the Big Centre newsroom. But stick with us, because in part 3 we'll offer you something for the weekend and meet an inspirational lady who's hoping to realise her Olympic dream. Welcome back to The Week. Now, before I introduce our final guest in this week's show, it's that time when I like to offer you something for the weekend. And this week, I'm looking to the cinema, where Carey Mulligan, Helena Bonham Carter and Meryl Streep are among the cast telling the story of the early feminist movement, a time when women were forced underground to pursue a dangerous game of cat and mouse against the government. The film's called Suffragette, and here's a taste of it.
You work at the Glass House Laundry?
I was born there. Part-time washer at 7. Full-time from when I was 12.
What would the vote mean to you?
Oh, in this growing darkness, I can't see the light.
Votes for women. The power is in your hands.
No one cares, love.
Some of us do. So shut your bleeding cake hole.
All my life, I've been respectful. Done what men told me.
You're a wife. My wife. That's what you're meant to be.
Well, I can't have that anymore.
Never underestimate the power we women have to define our own destinies. We have been left with no alternative. Defy this government.
Vote for women!
We shall cut into the heart of communications.
My job is to enforce the law.
It all means nothing to me. I've had no say in making the law.
We have reached a state of anarchy we can no longer ignore. Punish those responsible in whatever way you can.
We'll stop you.
What are you going to do? Lock us all up? We're in every home. We're half the human race. You can't stop us all.
We do not want to be lawbreakers. We want to be lawmakers.
The only way is forward.
I'm worth no more, no less than you. We will win.
Never surrender. Never give up the fight.
The moving true story Suffragette, and that's showing at cinemas all around our region. I should also say another movie showing this weekend is called Doreen the Movie. We'll be talking about this on our Brummywood Yammywood show. This is a locally made movie all about a Black Country benefits cheat called Doreen, who's become something of an internet sensation, a stage show hit, and now she's making it onto the cinema screens. I'll be at the premiere of that on Saturday night at the Lighthouse in Wolverhampton, and looking forward to that. So that's what I've got lined up for something for my weekend. Now though, without further ado, let's meet my final guest. Her story is equally inspirational, and she's hoping to cap it all off by representing Team GB at the Paralympics in Rio next year. Kelda Wood, welcome.
Thank you
I
very
guess
much.
Your attire gives it away a little bit. British canoeing.
British canoeing,
is what
that's
it's
it.
all about. Just in a nutshell, we'll have a look at your story on video in a minute, but tell us what you're hoping to achieve over the next 12 months.
Well, obviously the ultimate goal is Rio 2016. So I do sprint kayaking, which is 200 metres in a straight line, fast as you can. It's the first year it's been included in the Paralympics, so it's a really special year next year. And first of all, I've got to get selected. There are 2 of us that are being considered for selection at the minute, and then it's all about that medal.
And is there just one place? Is that
one place? Only one boat goes. Yeah.
How do you find out you're good at that then?
I didn't, which sounds crazy, but I saw an ad for a Talent ID Day through British Paracanoeing, so they were doing a bit of a push for recruiting new people into the sport. I'd done a bit of canoeing, never sprint kayaking, but I'd done a bit of canoeing and enjoyed it, so I thought I would just go along and see what it was about. I wasn't very good at the beginning. I spent an awful lot of time falling in, but I love my sport, and so I kind of kept going, and I started off training a couple of days a week, and by the time I'd been on the programme about 5 or 6 months, I was then invited to join the squad, which was last September. So yeah, it's been a bit of a whirlwind.
Absolutely, sounds like it. Well, let's find out a little bit more about your story and have a look at you in training.
My name is Kelda Wood, and this is my chance to be part of Paralympic history. It's the first year that Paracanoe has ever been included in the Paralympics, and my target is to be the first ever female KL3 200 metre gold medalist. As a child, I dreamt of going to the Olympics. When I was 9 years old, I drew the Olympic rings on my bedroom wall. When I used to walk my dogs, I would stand on the top of a stile and sing the national anthem and pretend I'd just been presented with my gold medal. It'd always been my dream. Suddenly, I'm on the GB squad. We're talking about the Olympics. I've got a 1 in 3 chance of going. So I was haying the horses one morning at the stables, and was moving hay around, and a bale of haylage that weighs about a tonne fell off the top of the stack, landed on my head and caused a compression injury. It looked like they were going to have to amputate my leg at the time, but I was fairly stubborn about not letting them do that straight away. I've got a fused left ankle joint and a degenerative joint, so I've got no mobility in that left ankle, so I can't run anymore. I can't do any of the sports that I used to do. Sport is everything that I'm about, really. I'm one of those people that I love to train hard, I love to work hard. I was never naturally good at sport, but I absolutely relish the challenge of getting good. I am paddling in a K1, which is flat water sprint kayaking, so 200 metres in a straight line as fast as you can. My personal best at the minute is 55.2 seconds. The world record is 49 seconds. So The fact that I've knocked 4 seconds off my time in the last 3 months, that 49 seconds is absolutely within my sights. Now on the GB Paracanoe squad, our end goal is Rio next year and the Paralympics, and it's the first year that Paracanoe's been included in the Paralympics, so it's quite a big event for us. GB are the leading nation, so I'm absolutely going for that gold medal. 12 months ago I hadn't even sat in a canoe, so it's been a pretty rapid journey. I won the bronze medal at the British Championships this year, so I'm ranked 3rd in Britain. The aim is to establish myself as the first boat next year. I am chasing a dream that I've had for a very long time, and I can absolutely do it.
That actually looks like a beautiful spot to be training. Where was that?
Yeah, that's a pool fairly local to where I live. So when we train down at the National Water Sports Centre in Nottingham most of the time, but when I'm at home, they're very good to me. It's Martin Pool, and let me go down and use that, which is fantastic. But it's beautiful. You couldn't find a better place to train.
And you're telling me, just as we were watching that, you've shaved a little bit more off your personal best since then?
Yeah, since then there's another 2 seconds off my personal best, and I've actually been moved up into GB second boat now, so that was quite a significant stepping stone moving towards next year.
That must make you think, give you the motivation really to go on and say, okay, this is working, I'm heading in the right direction.
Yeah,
my training
I'm in exactly the place I need to be now. I need to have a solid winter's training. There's a lot of gains to be made this winter. Come out spring, in the spring in a position to be challenging for the first boat slot that will go to Rio.
Fantastic. I can see the broad smile on your face.
I know.
How excited you are about it. Tell us about you, like right from the beginning, because obviously, I mean, your life is almost a tale of two halves, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So just tell us the story.
Well, as a child, my life has always revolved around sport, but yeah, from a very young age, I played netball at a national level, but I wasn't ever one of those children who was naturally good at sport. But I thrived on working hard, so I loved the challenge of training and working until I got good at something. But my dreams lay with horses, so I dreamt of going to the Olympics, of riding for Great Britain and representing my country, but I always thought it'd be on a horse, so I spent 20 years chasing that dream.
And have you always lived in and around the West Midlands area then?
No, I'm a northern girl born and bred, so my family are all still up in Northumberland. I left home at 18 to go to university and then kind of never went back, and horses rule my life really, so I set up my own business when I was 26 and started training eventers first, and then I moved into racing, so I kind of did 10 years racing, and you know, it had its ups and downs, but it's kind of all led on to this really, and I think the experience of those 20 years is what's given me the determination now to make this work.
And I mean, you talked in the video a little bit about the moment that really sort of changed a lot of things for you. What do you remember about that now, looking back?
When the injury first happened, I mean, there was a significant chance of me having to have my leg amputated, so obviously my initial thoughts was just dealing with that, but I think when I realised they weren't going to have to amputate, but it was then the impact of not being able to do or not be the person I used to be, or certainly I didn't feel like I was the person I used to be, and that had quite a long-term impact on me because I kept on trying to be that person. I couldn't accept my injury, so I kept on feeling like I was failing when I couldn't do things, and that really knocked me, and I spent a long time thinking that I wasn't the person I used to be and who I wanted to be.
So then at what point did you start thinking that maybe, you know, parasport was an opportunity to almost start again and go off in a slightly different direction?
That's only happened in the last 18 months. There was a bit of a sort of transition when I started getting into outdoor activities. I set up a charity that works with young people who are facing life-changing injuries and illnesses. Through that, I started working as a coach at the Battleback Centre, which is working with wounded, injured and sick servicemen and women.
That's based at Lilleshall?
At Lilleshall, yeah,
right,
yeah.
Yes.
And it was through that I started to learn about the opportunities within parasports. And it was also that gave me the confidence to go to that Talent ID Day. Since then, it's all changed. And the great thing is now I love my leg. I really love my leg, and I spent a long time hating it. But now every time it hurts, every time it stops me from doing anything, I just say thank you very much, because if it wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Is it the old saying, as one door closes, ... another one opens a little bit?
Yeah, it took quite a few doors.
Yeah.
I had to knock on a few of them, and a few of them were the wrong ones. But, the one thing I say now is keep opening them, because eventually, it will lead on to the right one, and that's absolutely what's happened now, and it's fantastic.
I mean, so to get to Rio next summer is the ultimate, and that's the goal. But I mean, we hear a lot, both from elite sports people and on the Paralympic side, that getting to that level, when you're one of the top of your trade, is almost it requires a full-time dedication. Some people are giving up their jobs.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's not cheap, is it?
It's not, and the only way, well, not the only way, but to really be in a position to be that boat that goes to Rio, I have had to do exactly that. So I've just handed in my notice with my work for 12 months so that I can focus on training full time, because I know I won't make the gains I need to make unless I do that. So it's now or never.
So you're taking a 12-month sabbatical from the Battleback Centre, are you?
Yes, I am, which is a little bit scary, but also exciting, because that's what I've got to do if I'm going to give myself the best chance of getting to Rio and bringing back a medal.
And if you do get chosen as the British #1 and they say, right, off you go, here's your ticket to Rio, I mean, how much money will you need to have raised or have at your disposal to make that happen? Because you won't get sponsored by British Olympics to do that, will you?
We do have bands of funding. So UK Sport fund the athletes on the Rio pathway, but it is tiered funding. So I've actually worked out that I need 24,000 to cover all my training costs and to live and fund my training for the next 12 months. I'm actually getting £10,000 worth of support from UK Sport, which is fantastic, and we're incredibly grateful for the support they give us. But that obviously leaves it quite a lot short.
Yeah, although I mean, that's a recognition, isn't it, of just what sort of profile that Paralympic sport has now compared to 8-10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, London 2012 obviously helped that the stadium was full for every single day of that, and as a result of that, maybe it becomes a more of an appealing sponsorship package.
Yeah, I think it's getting bigger and bigger all the time, and Great Britain is the leading nation going into the Paralympics. So we came back with gold medals from the World Championships this year. We had 6 gold medals from the World Championships last year. So we're in a very strong position. Other nations are catching us up, so we can't sit on our laurels. But lottery funding has changed the sport massively, and has made it possible for us to be as professional as we are.
Are you able to replicate what the conditions in Rio will be like in your training here? Do you know what the courses are going to be?
We're going out there in January, so we're actually going out to a training camp. We're spending the majority of it in Bello, which is just away from Rio, but then we will actually be going up to Rio to look at the course so we can get a picture of everything out there. Obviously, it's a lot colder in the winter than it will be over there, which affects training conditions, which is partly why we're going out to Rio. But yeah, that is a big stepping stone in giving us the best preparation for next year.
So what's your training regime like now then? How much time do you spend on the water?
It's brutal. We train 6 days a week. Because it's a power sport, a lot of it is in the gym as well. So we spend 3 days where we do two sessions a day on the water, where the main focus is beasting us on the water. And then we spend 3 days a week where the main focus is in the gym, so they beast us in the gym. And so, yeah, it's an absolute lifestyle. I mean, it takes over everything you eat, sleep, drink, breathe. It does take over everything. But hey, so it should be. You know, if we want to go out there and win a gold medal,
we've got to work at it.
Is it something that a lifestyle that you probably couldn't do unless you were really enjoying what you were doing as well, rather than just seeing it as a goal?
I think you've got to be the right kind of person. You know, I actually thrive to. I got told yesterday that I've got to join the fat club because I've still got to lose some more weight.
You've got to be joking. I'm feeling a bit guilty.
But you know, it's again, I was having a good, healthy lifestyle anyway, and I've got to cut it back even more. But great, I'll step up to it because I want to come back and win that medal next year. But if you weren't committed and you couldn't live and enjoy that lifestyle, you'd struggle to stick to it.
Yeah. So I imagine you'll miss the Battleback Centre over the 12 months. Tell us a bit about what you do there and what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic environment. So it is working with wounded, injured and sick servicemen and women. So obviously a lot of them have been through the same journey that I've been through. So I'm very passionate about my work there. And we use sport as a vehicle for rehabilitation. So it's really all about exactly what I've been through and what sport's done for me. So yeah, I am going to miss it. I keep on popping my head back in to say hello so they don't forget me. But it is an amazing place and they're doing some amazing things with some great results. And I keep on signposting people towards para-canoe and other para-sports. So fingers crossed, you know, we'll keep topping up the para-canoe talent development programme.
Absolutely. What is the profile of para-canoe like in general terms?
Being honest, I think there isn't that much awareness about it. I mean, I knew nothing about it. I could have done this 3 years ago if I'd known about it. But I think after Rio, that will really help because it is the first year it's been included. So hopefully that will raise a lot of awareness. And then I know there are a lot of plans for a sort of talent development pathway to try and encourage people into the sport and really create a future for the sport.
Excellent. When's your deadline for knowing if you've got that number 1 slot, and how long have
June
you got?
the 11th. There's 2 races on June the 11th and I have to win both those 2 races. If I don't go.
So the selection process is just as brutal as the training regime by the sound
2
of it
races,
then,
so you can't have a bad day. It all comes down to... So that will be about 120 seconds worth of time for the 2 races. That's what it all rests on.
But you're still smiling. That's the important
bring
thing.
it on. Bring it on.
Good luck with it. Let's hope you
you.
get that number 1 slot and hope you may manage to raise the sponsorship money to get to Rio. Kelda, thank you. Thank you for coming in. That's all we've got time for this week. A big thanks to Kelda and to Dan Morfitt, who was with us earlier. Don't forget, Bob Hall and the rest of the Big Centre News team are with you every weekday, bringing you the latest headlines from across the Birmingham and Black Country region. If you've got a story you think we should be talking about on next week's show, drop us a line. The email address is theweek@bigcentre.tv. We'll see you soon.